It seems like Jackson Arnold found some rhythm in Thursday's practice.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Darrell Dapprich, Montgomery radio legend, hanging out with us for a few minutes. Did Auburn's offense struggle to run the ball on Thursday, and is that a concern? Wide receivers keep drawing praise from various outlets. But look, the general consensus, Darrell, is in Thursday's open practice to the media, Jackson Arnold looked better than he had at any other point throughout fall camp. And that's the best thing you can ask for if you're pulling for the Auburn Tigers.
Keep hearing really positive things about touch and ball placement and decision-making. And then, you know, it's a valid point. Some camp notes that I saw, some people that were commenting on it said, well, didn't we hear the same thing about this last year? And no, we really didn't. And so I think that it's encouraging. And again, you've got the tools. He was very toolsy coming out of high school. A couple of the videos that I saw, you talk about ball placement was elite. Again, you're doing it in practice. Again, where you're really not doing it against air because there was a defender on the receivers, but there's no pass rush and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I want to stay positive about everything and really buy into the fact that there is improvement and progression there. And you and I were privy to a practice 2 years ago where quarterbacks were throwing against air and couldn't hit moving targets in the back of the end zone. So anything like that where people just discount it and say, oh, it doesn't matter, it does matter. I mean, if you're at that starting point, you've got a long way to go. I think Auburn is really light years ahead of where they were in the passing game a couple years ago.
Yeah, you listed a few things for Jackson. The last one you said was decision-making. And to me, that's the big question. And it sounds like that was a little bit better on Thursday. He can make the throws. He has the arm strength. Like, everything physically about Jackson Arnold, that is not my concern. It's, can he make consistent decisions quickly? Not just making the right decisions, but can he do it in time? Mm-hmm. What we heard last week in fall camp was he was holding on to the ball too long, but it does sound like he was making the right decision. It just took longer than it should. And that was the biggest thing with Peyton Thorne. Peyton Thorne's arm, it wasn't perfect, but it was fine. It was good enough. At Auburn's pass catchers last year with Cam Coleman and KLS, their catch radius was larger than the average wide receiver. It covered up some stuff, but it was the decision-making consistently over the span of a 60-minute football game. Jackson Arnold, that's kind of the biggest question that Oklahoma had for him last year. That's what we heard at SEC Media Days from the Oklahoma contingent last month. And when that kind of note popped up last week, was he still holding on to the ball? That's when I got a little concerned. But on Thursday, that was not part of it. And I'm hoping that that's just him getting more comfortable and in the swing of things as the season gets closer.
You never want to hear that a quarterback is holding on to the ball too long. Too long in certain cases is very subjective. I will say this.
Maybe.
There are certain offensive lines that you can play behind that you could take a little bit longer with your progressions and your reads to make sure you make the right decision. And again, I'm not saying what is too long. Is there an absolute, variable that says after this many seconds, the ball's got to come out? I get it. But I think if you are ever in a situation with this type of offensive line or the offensive line's capabilities, you might be able to take that extra second and make sure you're making the right read and the right decision because of the way this offensive line is constructed.
Well, I mean, it depends, right? Like, yeah, the offensive line is better, but protection is different on every single play, and protection isn't consistent regardless of who you have and who you're playing with. A lot of it varies by play call. And then also a lot of the RPO is timing based, where it doesn't matter what the skill is, it's what the play is and how quickly can you read all of those things. And that seemed to be where Peyton last year and the year prior didn't fully grasp the offense. Jackson Arnold, he's got an RPO background. And so like he's used to this system, not this exact one, not this exact, scheme, but the ideology of it. He's been playing, I think even back to high school is my understanding. So not too worried about that, but I did think I do think there was a step in the right direction with all of that. Let's stay on the topic of quarterbacks just for a second until we move on to receivers, the guys catching the balls. But it sounded like Duce didn't have a great practice yesterday, which is normal for freshmen. Consistently throwing behind guys is kind of what the narrative has been since yesterday. The Ashton Daniels threw a pick, but outside of that, it sounds like he was pretty solid in Thursday's action.
Yeah, I mean, he did some interviews after practice yesterday where he talked about how much he loves his quarterback room, how they're close, they all fit in real well, and he raved about them. And again, what are you supposed to say? They're your teammates. I get it.
Sure.
But I think that everyone needs to understand there's going to be ebbs and flows in these practices. And I think with anything else and anything with athletics and over a season, you just make sure the highs don't get too highs and the lows get too lows. You're going to have that roller coaster, especially with a true freshman like Duce Knight. Is he learning from the mistakes or the non-ball placement and that kind of thing so that he grows from it and there's a maturation process? That's what you look for. That's what you look at. Because, again, it's a lot of practices. Fatigue sets in. It's going to be that way until the season starts. And so I try not to read too much into when I hear so-and-so is struggling or so-and-so is absolutely lighting it up. I think the answer will always lie somewhere in the middle unless it's blaringly obvious that this kid can't throw to wide open receivers, and that's not the case.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. And especially with younger guys like Duce, improvement and growth isn't linear. You're going to have bad practices, and that's when you go back and you look at the tape and then you learn and then you get better, and hopefully you don't make those mistakes again. So once again, not worried about Duce at all. In fact, this is normal, might be refreshing. Now, if that becomes a theme that happens for the rest of fall camp, I think it's a different discussion. I don't think that's what's happening here. So all in all, still, I think we all agree the quarterback situation now leaps and bounds better than it was a year ago. And part of that, Darrell, has to do with the guys that they're throwing to. And goodness gracious, the things we keep hearing about Eric Singleton and Cam Coleman and Horatio Fields, it's just compliment after compliment after compliment. Why it matters next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book. Darrell, it's still 1.5. The Auburn Tigers, a 1.5-point dog, according to our friends at FanDuel Sportsbook.
Not surprising. I cannot wait to see if that moves by kickoff 2.5, 3 weeks from now. I suspect it will, but we'll see.
What do you think it closes at?
I think it closes at I've been saying this all along, but it'd be kind of fun if it was. I think it's going to close as a pick'em.
That'd be fun. I mean, the 3-point swing is still just wild to me. I'm shocked.
Still don't know.
Shocked that happens.
Still don't have anything tangible unless it's just money line and betting and the amounts of people that put money. Yeah,
that's a lot of money, but that's it's certainly happened before. So we'll see. Hey, right now, if you're new to FanDuel, you can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if that first bet wins. They're just giving money away. Over at FanDuel, download the FanDuel app today or go to FanDuel.com right now. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Eric Singleton, man. Eric Singleton. You talk about impact. I can't wait to see the level of impact Eric Singleton is about to have on this team. And we've gotten glimpses of it, bite-sized morsels of it. And we got a, I think a pretty solid bite of it on Thursday. He ran a corner route, a flag route, and caught a touchdown that was electric. And then he caught the ball on a screen pass and then reverse field and outran a lot of guys. And it's just everything he does. Every time he's targeted, Darrell, or given the football, there's a chance. There's a chance. And it's up to Hugh Freeze and the staff to give him as many chances that make sense within this offense.
I think it's been a long time since there's been so much anticipation about an offensive player coming to Auburn, especially in the transfer portal, and what kind of immediate impact he could have. And I find myself being extremely giddy and excited of anticipation. I don't normally get that way about watching a particular player, maybe a team, maybe a season.
Or Ashton Daniels.
There you go. Yes. But saying, I can't wait to watch this guy actually perform on Saturdays and run his routes and what impact he's going to have.
Right.
Pretty special, pretty exciting. And then you've got a bookend on the other side. I mean, you just can't overstate it enough. It's really, I know it sounds like hype and over exaggeration, but I'm really excited, really excited to watch how this plays out.
Yeah. Yeah, I am too. And obviously it's going to open things up for Cam Coleman. Let me ask you this. Do you think Eric Singleton will open up things more for Cam Coleman, or will Cam Coleman open up things more for Eric Singleton?
It's a great question. I think Singleton is going to open up things for Cam Coleman.
Okay.
I think that defensive coordinators across the SEC are there for a reason. They're not stupid.
Mm-hmm.
They know what they see on tape.
Mm-hmm.
And they know that he's special. And so I think that he's going to set up things for Cam. Like Eric Singleton's not going to fly under the radar. And so I think that this offense, just based upon, I love Cam Coleman, he's special, but just based upon Singleton's experience, he is going to be the one that I think sets some things up and frees up Cam Coleman on the other side.
Yeah. Just a fun conversation. I think I agree with you. As far as other notes for receiver, Malcolm Simmons did not practice yesterday. Had to do with health situation of a child. Sounds like everybody's okay, which is good. And then staying on the topic of receivers, Sam Turner dropped a pass from Ashton Daniels, which sounds like he got open. Sounds like he did everything right. He just didn't catch the football, which is a bummer. Bryce Kane, I believe, caught a touchdown in the back of the end zone, which is good. They did a lot of good versus good and twos versus two coming out from the 25-yard line for the red zone stuff. And then Perry Thompson sounded like there was a moment there where there was some frustration for Perry, where Marcus Davis, the receivers coach, really got on him, and Perry responded. And then it sounds like Hugh Freeze really got on him. And you don't see that level of attention and coaching and getting on folks if they don't think they're part of the core that's going to get them to where they want to go. And so I think that level of intentionality towards Perry Thompson, I don't think we should look past that.
It's a great point. You know, the old adage is, if you're a player, don't be concerned if your coach yells at you, gets into you. Be concerned if he ignores you.
Correct.
And doesn't. And so if he's investing that much energy and emotion into you, it's because he realizes how important and vital you are to the team and how good you can be to. And I think Perry's quotes were that he responded to that. He received it well and talked about, he does need to. What's to use breakout year, crucial year, or something like that is how.
Yeah, he said it was a breakout year for him. Like he was aware of it. He's aware of it, which is good.
That's how you should respond. Take the criticism, take and learn from it. Be coached, be coachable.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And that was one of the things we heard, not necessarily negatively about Perry, but like that he needed to be coached because he didn't really run a full route tree or a route tree at all when he was playing at Foley. It was very much, hey, you're better than that guy. We're going to throw it to you and just moss him every single time. That's what his highlights are when you go back and look at his huddle stuff. So for sure. Horatio Fields, man, anytime somebody writes about their observations or practice notes or whatever it might be, it's easy to gush about Horatio Fields. And it's just wild to me that mathematically it's pretty likely that somebody's going to get left out.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about like the mass share of targets, like I think there's going to be a drop off from 2 to 3, from 3 to 4, and a big one from 4 to 5. And it's just wild that I think Horatio is a stud, but I don't think there's a world where him, Perry, and Sam Turner can all exist in this offense.
And they know that, I think. I mean, you wonder if coming in, you have to know
be
that.
Wide receiver 6 and expect a big chunk of targets.
But did you know that when you decided to transfer to Auburn? You knew Coleman was there. You knew Thompson was there. Malcolm Simmons was there. I don't remember who transferred in first, Singleton or Horatio, but
I think Singleton did first.
So if you know that, then kudos to the young man for being willing to come in, have a competitive attitude of not backing down, and I'm not afraid of competition, and I'm still going to find a way to get on the field. You need guys like that on your team. It is a shame that somebody is going to be the odd man out when it comes to number of targets and that type of thing. Again, we were very impressed with his catch radius, how he bounced off people. He doesn't go down first contact, that kind of thing. He also was a power 4 receiver last year. And so, you know, we'll see how that all plays out. But the mathematics for me, I'm trying to think how to make it work, and I really can't either.
Yeah. I just don't think, like, you don't see it. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I don't think you could do that while also taking targets away from Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton, which nobody wants to do.
Right.
Nobody wants to do. And so, 3 you assume is Malcolm, assuming he's able to play and all of that. And then I think it's that battle for that 4th receiver. And like, what a great spot to be in, because both like Perry and Horatio would have been wide receiver 1 at Auburn 2 years ago, probably.
Absolutely. And that's the point, is that look how far this room has come. It's a nice problem to have. You're never going to be able to keep everybody happy when you have a group and a position group in a room full of really good wide receivers, but that's the goal.
Yeah.
Is to get to that point. And again, I would have loved to have both of them 2 years ago, 3 years ago in that wide receiver room. And now look how the pecking order is.
Yep. All right. We might have a slight change to the depth chart. And then I want to talk about maybe the inability to run the football. That's next right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Kia Autosport of Columbus. If you're looking for your next ride and located near Auburn, you're in luck. Just a short drive away in Columbus, Georgia. Kia Autosport of Columbus is bringing the heat with the Kia Summer Savings Event going on right now. You can save up to $3,000 off MSRP on select 2025 Kia Sorento models, a versatile SUV perfect for road trips, family life, and everything in between. We love the Kia Sorentos. We bought one a few years ago, and it has served our family very, very well. All new Kia purchases come with tires for life, lifetime powertrain warranty. So ask your sales associate about that. When you get there, ask for Chris Child. Mention the show, Locked On Auburn, and you can get an extra $500 off any new Kia. Head to Kia Autosport of Columbus, just off of Whittlesey Boulevard in Columbus, Georgia, or visit KiaAutosportColumbus.com today to browse their full inventory and start saving. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Darrell Dapprich, Montgomery radio legend, hanging out with us today. Quick note about the depth chart. We've continually mentioned Sylvester Smith at nickel, and it sounds like he might be leading the way for that starting nickel spot. And then we kind of thought Champ Anthony, the Pirate, would be starting at nickel, but he's been seen playing a lot more safety. So, okay, I don't think that really matters. I'm a little surprised by that just because of what we project their skill sets to be in those positions, but okay, it sounds like Sylvester Smith is being very impressive at nickel this offseason, and that's good. I think it's good for Auburn.
Yeah, it sounds interchangeable. It is curious to me, is it because of recovering from that injury and the game speed playing in a nickel compared to a safety position? Now, look, we know that Champ Anthony loves to come up and lay the wood to you and really hit you hard. He did that against Arkansas. You can do that from the safety position probably a little bit better than you could as a slot guy, but it could it be an injury thing, getting up to speed with the knee injury? Who knows? That is surprising, but there's a reason for it. And if you're hearing rave reviews about Sylvester Smith, good for him.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been a guy that I was high on, and he kind of disappeared. He wasn't the new shiny, name in the room, but he's been steady, and that's been awesome. That's good for Auburn. Good for Auburn. Another kind of lineup thing before we talk about the running game. Justin Ferguson in his Auburn Observer practice observations, he pointed out that there was a series with the ones where Dylan Wade moved from left guard to center to get some snaps, and then Connor Lew went to left guard during that series, which is interesting. It does seem like Dylan Wade is the break glass in case of emergency center if something were to happen to Connor. And Ferg also adds to that the snaps were consistently low. So they need to, I guess, work on that. So we'll see. But I think I'm glad that they're doing that.
It creates a whole different question in my mind that if something was to happen and he's your emergency center, who do you slide over to guard? Because if he's playing center, Lew's not playing guard, right? So that means Lew's out of the game. Murphy can play guard. Do you put Murphy over there and then slide Miller over to too tall to right tackle? That could happen. So, yeah, I guess they're just looking at worst case scenarios right now.
Backup left guard has consistently been DeAndre Carter.
That's right.
Is that a tell?
Yeah.
I don't know. That would make sense.
Yeah, I would love
if he's ready.
Yeah.
So, but you got options, which is great. I mean, you've got depth everywhere, which is exciting and refreshing and new, right? As far as like looking at the play-by-play and the overall production of the Auburn offense against the Auburn defense in red zone situations on Thursday, didn't really seem like they were able to get a whole lot of action going in the running game. Is that concerning? It's tougher to run the ball the closer you get in. There's less field that you have to worry about as a defender. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about this because it's always like, oh, well, the defense did good, or did the offense do bad? It's always so tricky to kind of like pinpoint what exactly the problem is. But statistically, like Auburn had a hard time running the ball yesterday.
Yeah, I would like to see that number change. There's obviously different variables. We got word from Lance Dahl that the yellow non-contact jersey came off Cobb, but he still had some kind of wrap. Maybe he wasn't giving the ball inside the 5. I know Damari Alston ran it a couple times. So did Darrell Robinson. I don't know. I don't know what to make of that.
And Omar.
Yes, or even if we should make anything of that. Did the defense know they were going to run the ball? Did they know it was coming? There's just a lot of different variables. But I do, you would want to be, you need to be able inside the 5 to run the football and score touchdowns. And we'll see if the option of Jackson Arnold inside the 5 keeping the ball and not handing it off helps with that or whatever. Sure. There's a lot of things that could happen. But, yeah, you want to hear that the pile was pushed and that they were to get inside and they were able to run the football inside the 5 like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, that to me was maybe the biggest negative, but that's also like a question that I had for Auburn's defense is could they consistently stop the run? And that seems to be a thing that they've been able to do against Auburn so far. And that's going to be crucial against Baylor game 1. No question about it.
Yeah, anytime you can. I mean, Baylor's got a good running back and a good receiver and a great quarterback. So if you've
got two good running backs, I think you kind of feel really good about that 1-2 punch there.
If you can make it a little bit more one-dimensional and make them have to throw to beat you, I think you take that all day long if you're Auburn from a defensive standpoint, especially with the way the defensive backs have been playing.
Sure. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I agree with that 100%. Anything else that you've heard from practice yesterday that stood out to you that we did not touch on?
I think the whole dynamic of the linebackers too. I'm still trying to figure out who's playing where, and it seems like it's getting flip-flopped a lot between Woodyard and Wheatland, and so I'd like to see. That's interesting to me, but also Strader playing as well as he did at the corner position yesterday. They said he's just a dog, physical.
He's good,
nasty, and so that's good. That's good to hear and see too, because of a depth standpoint.
Yeah. I'm curious to see if he can push. I mean, Freeze said it at media days. Like, they were brought in to push Lee and Crawford. I'd be surprised if those two guys didn't start, but I do wonder what that gap is. Like, what's that level of separation? Because typically, if you have 2 elite corners, you don't flip them out too much. So I'm curious to see what that rotation looks like against Baylor.
And again, another example of somebody coming to Auburn knowing what their lot was. Same with Pleasant. I mean, you knew who you had that were your starting corners, and that
Especially
they were
Pleasant. He came late.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
so what does that mean? What does that say? What did that makeup tells me that they don't care? They got a little dog in them. They feel like they can make a contribution regardless, and they're not intimidated. And that's the mentality of a corner that you want anyway, obviously.
Which of any position, really, that you want. Yeah, a guy that feels like they can come in and compete no matter what. Absolutely. Darrell Dapprich, how can people check out everything you've got going on?
Follow me on X, DAP6410, Wednesdays and Fridays, right here with you on Locked on Auburn. And then Sunday nights, the live show on the Barn, 8 o'clock.
Yep. Please like the video. Please subscribe. And if you're tuned in on audio, please subscribe and leave us a review. Helps the show out a ton. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked on Auburn.